Good evening and welcome to another installment of Family Time. All right, good evening and welcome again to Family Time. I'm your host, Sir Twain. It's been a while, but we are here and I hope you are ready for another informative and interesting program. As you know, Family Time is produced by Family Life Ministries and it's all about your issues, your relationships, whether it's your at home family, your community family, or your global family. Yes, indeed, family life is here to help enable healthy families, which will lead to healthy nations. And we definitely want Jamaica to be a healthy nation. So stay tuned with us and please connect with us via all platforms. You can friend us on Facebook at FLM Family Life Ministries. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Family Life Ministries FLMJA. And on Instagram, you can keep up with what's going on, and that is at FLMJA. So, before we jump in, while Family Time is a family program, always a family program, there are times when we may have subject matters which you may consider mature. So, please use your discretion as is necessary. All right, so here we are. This is June, the tail end of June, but it is, or if some say we're done with June, it was Men's Mental Health Month. And today we're going to be taking the opportunity to check in with our men. So I'm going to be checking in with myself. But we're not just checking in mentally, but we want to see how men are doing generally. Are we satisfied? Are we feeling accomplished? Are we feeling happy? What is it about our lives that we're feeling? Is it good or is it bad? So, we want to look at that. And the topic for today is manhood explored, burden or blessing? That is the question. But first, to help us navigate this topic, we want your input. The question is, how is being a man for you? Is it a burden or is it a blessing? So, when you think about being a man, is it a burden or a blessing? Please send your responses via WhatsApp text and voice note to 876-997-3125. For voice notes, keep them 30 seconds and sweeter. You may call the studio lines at 876-968-8327 or 8328 to participate. And of course, as you watch, you may comment live on Love 101 Facebook as well as YouTube. We'll be right back with our special guests, Jason Down and Daniel Dodd. And when we get back, I hope you'll be here with a friend that you've invited.
What kind of union is this? Some call it the original love triangle. How did these three contribute to history, and what does their story teach us today? Tuesday, June 25, on The Rock, join guests Ricken Allen and Reverend Dr. George Mulrain as they discuss the topic Jacob, Leah, and Rachel. That's The Rock, Tuesday, June 25 at 10 a.m. here on the family station, Love 101.
All right, and we are back in a flash. So, yes, this is Family Time on Love 101. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. And let's welcome Jason Downer and Daniel Dodd. A bit of an introduction. Here we go. So, Jason is many, many things I hear. Most recently, he is a forensic pathologist. He's also president of Mogava. Testimonial here. Mogava is Men of God Against Violence and Abuse. I've heard the name before. Chairman also of the Tower Street Correctional Center, a husband and a father. Daniel is a 25-year-old second-year theology student at the Jamaica Theological Seminary, JTS, and he's founder of Kingdom Ambassadors Global Ministry, and which is geared to help men recognize their purpose and leadership in their area of gifting. very capable people. All I need to do is just ask questions and let the answers flow. Good evening, Sir Dodd and Sir Dona.
Hey, blessed love, man. Big up, big up, big up to Love 101.
Def-
It's forensic psychologist here, not pathologist.
A second. All
But,
right,
but
noted,
it's a
noted.
man thing. Sometimes we have a slip, a Friday and slip, you know? But it's
exactly.
all right.
It's
All
good
right.
to be man. It's good to be.
All right, good. Thank you very much. And with so many, I was about to wonder if we were on male walk because it's a men show. Guests
Mhm.
are men, and the question is targeting at men. So we definitely know shouting out to Courtney and Kevin Mandea on a
Monday,
Monday.
Monday, definitely.
All right. So whether as fathers, brothers, uncles, grandpas, even cousins, men are needed in the family. Our families are definitely incomplete without them. So the question is, do
Mhm.
we as men, or do we in general, think that this is so? We want to find out what men are thinking and how their feelings are going. So again, to our viewers and listeners, the question is manhood. Well, the topic is manhood explored, blessing or burden. And the question is, how is being a man for you? A burden or a blessing? You may use WhatsApp. You may use 99876 9973125. Voice notes and texts are welcome. Voice notes should be 30 seconds or less. And for the studio lines, 876-968-8327 or 8328. All right, so we know that both Jason and Daniel are doing very, very well. All right, so here we are. I don't know who's taking this one first, but I guess you'll both have to chime in at some point because I'm here to learn about this thing now. How do we define manhood? Who is a man?
Mm.
I'll leave it to the JPS man. I am one a JPS man too, but leave it to the gentleman there, you know?
All right, cool.
Right?
I'll take it on, man. I'll take it on. It's a good question, you know, and it's nothing new. These questions are nothing new. As it relates to us and our identity. It's always a search for who we are, what our purpose is. You know, what are we in essence? And over the years, it has been defined through various means. Of course, some people identify themselves as a man through various accomplishments, things that they can attain, what they're able to provide, right? Of course, if you're looking at it from a religious perspective, people identify themselves within a supreme being, right? But of course, definitely, who is a man? What is a man? In my perspective, guys, long and short, is that um, I would have to take it from the idea that I did not, yes, bring myself here. And so I would have to go back to the blueprint to how everything come into being, right? In order to understand the purpose of a thing, right, you would have to understand the mind of the creator. And so for me, I would have to understand where I came from, where have I, um, all my limbs, all my blood vessels, every part of my essence, come into being? Where's the
Where's
source,
the source?
right?
Right?
That's where
That's where
I
I
my
my
source from. And so for me, it will be, Jehovah God, identifying myself that I am, you know, uh, a source. I am a potter. I am a provider, right? I'm made in the image of God, right? And so this idea kind of directs my purpose, my vision, what I'm supposed to do, imitating the characteristics and nature of my father. And so it's, if it is that most persons don't understand where is it that they're coming from, they won't understand where they're going or what to do. And so people find identity in various things. And I think if a person really wants to identify who they are as a man, right, identify their manhood, I think they really need to go back to the source of which they are from. And so that's just my quick stance for
stands
now.
for no.
Okay, blessed love. Well,
Alright.
for me, let us go right back to it. A man is a human being with XY chromosomes. It's family time, so I hope I can say this. He has a penis, He tends to have certain muscles, a lot of testosterone, etc. And that for me pretty much is a man. There's a if you follow some people, there's a moving at the goalposts which you don't subscribe to, right? And of course, there are those person who we will consider intersex if you want, but that's another case. So I keep it right there so that you know pretty much everybody can relate to it. A human being with XY chromosomes as a penis, don't sanction me love 101. I just putting it out there. Has testosterone. Tends to have an ego, somewhat a bit more aggressive. Based on what my brethren just said, Sir Dad, right? I get the name correct? Is that the name?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. All right. And he would have defined now factors or attributes where biblical manhood is concerned. So I'll leave it there.
All right, cool. Definitely. Thank you very much. And I was gonna ask Sir Dad, how important having a penis was to being a man, because even as we see in the world, a lot of people are evolving and becoming men. And I guess the next question I'll ask, but we're almost up at the break, but I think we'll be able to do it in the 4 or so minutes that we have.
Yeah, man.
Is one born a man, or does one become a man, or is it a matter of both?
Good question. I wonder if we need to do this after the break. Born a man. That's I believe yes, you are born a male, right? But the essence of a man, it requires a lot more, because you're speaking to a lot now. You're speaking to a lot of responsibilities. When you're talking about a man, we're talking about a man that has developed some sort of value over the years, learning who he is. So as it relates to that, I think yes, you are born a male, but it takes development along the way for you to become a man.
All right.
We can explore it.
I love that. Because I was gonna say we were born male. You develop into a man.
Exactly.
At a certain age. And manhood itself is a journey. So even though you would have reached the threshold of, let's say, 18, manhood is a journey that we, as males, we all embark on.
It will
And there are
be
certain attributes that comes with it as it relates to masculinity. But you go further after another.
You'll be surprised even so that for us men, for us males, as a matter of fact, who are past or even past the age of 18, are not fully men, are not man. They haven't developed into the manhood or the man they're supposed to be. So most of us who are past that age are still boys.
It sounds like I'm hearing from Sir Dad that there are levels of manhood. Some men are probably more man than others, but I guess we'll take that up after the break. So let's go to our first break, and when we come back, we'll explore that some more.
Definitely.
Make we keep Jamaica clean. Me as if we keep Jamaica clean. Keep Jamaica clean. Our duty to keep our island clean. Mobile to Kingston, sidewalk and beach. Bag it, bin it, recycle it, please. Proper garbage disposal, make we do it. Keep Jamaica clean. Keep Jamaica. A message from the National Solid Waste Management Authority. Have you follow Grace Sardine? Follow the better flavor. Grace Sardine with the chef and the beginner. Follow the one with pepper, that are the winner. Shop and supermarket, everybody sell it. Do all of them nice. Pass the back, make push it.
Grace Sardines, follow the better flavor.
PK Global Ministries presents their Prayer Storm Revival Service at Windscar Park, Christiana, Manchester, Friday, June the 28th and Saturday, June the 29th, 2024. Starting time, 7 p.m. Featuring Prophet Kenneth Okoji from Houston, Texas, and Evangelist Ian Levy from Christiana, Manchester. Sponsored by Bread of Life Entertainment, Forever Young Hairdressing and Beauty Supplies, and Sugar Notch Recording Studio. It's PK Global Ministries Prayer Storm Revival Service. Be there.
Affirm Ambulance Services, Jamaica's premier provider of emergency medical transportation. We do medical standby for both private and corporate events, non-medical emergency services, emergency transportation to and from medical facilities, hospitals, and homes, wheelchair provision, nursing homes, and first aid, plus so much more. We are located at 17 Cleardale Avenue, Kingston 10, and we can be contacted at telephone numbers 876-281-1262 or 876-299-2053. Follow us on Instagram at affirm_ambulance. Affirm Ambulance Services, a firm choice in health transportation.
Winnings are on floor. Winnings are on floor. 75-inch smart TV paired with sound bars that they get them to win. Samsung Galaxy smartphone a dwell. S24 dwell. Plus 3 grand prize when I get money for splash. $1 million each in a big money cash.
Get trivia prices of data and credit. Switch to Flow or activate any unlimited prepaid plan. Or pay a yard and road bill on time and in full for chances to win. Conditions apply.
It's not over.
Listen to words of upliftment in Something More with Bishop Harold Blair, brought to you by the Faith Cathedral Deliverance Center.
And he cried out to God. Have you been there? Have you been there when it seems as if you've been left all alone and no one cares for you? No one gives to you a word of comfort or consolation. But as you lift up your eyes to the hills from whence cometh your help, the Lord heard your cry.
That's Something More with Bishop Harold Blair. Something More comes to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9:30 a.m. here on the family station, Love 101.
It's not over till it's over.
Welcome back to Family Time here on Love 101. Shout out to all those joining us in the drive time. Hopefully the traffic is going well. But if it's not, you're tuned to Love, and that will definitely help to make your journey a lot better. The topic today is Manhood Explored, burden or blessing. And our guests are Jason Downer and Daniel Dodd. So just before we continue, let us remind you of the question: how is being a man to you? What's it been like? Is it a burden, or have you found it a great blessing which has brought you joy? Family Time is produced by Family Life Ministries, and the numbers for the Family Life Ministries head office in Kingston are 876-920-1034 or 876-926-8101. We'll share more information about how you can contact Family Life Ministries later on in the show. So stay tuned for that. So, Sir Dodd, you were explaining that there are, I'm asking you to explain if you were saying that there are some men who are more man than others based on the idea that you're sharing just now.
Definitely. And to continue on that point, I believe first and foremost that every man needs to be mentored. I think that's one of the main things that the average male is lacking, especially from the household standpoint. And so with the lack of proper leadership within the basic unit of society, which is the family, you find that this unit of society produces premature men, right? And so you don't have proper men leading them holistically, guiding them spiritually, how to treat a woman, how to be responsible, how to add value to society. And so you find people not being able to conduct themselves in the right way. And so, men just act upon, what they feel or think within the given moment without actually logically putting in serious thought behind their actions. Right. And so, you find all kind of vices within the world today. And I think that's just the main problem with us as men. We're not being mentored. We're not having a good foundational standpoint to really, copy off of. We don't have a blueprint. And I think that's one of the main problems that we're having right now. So, yeah, it all boils down to us achieving that epitome of us being a true man holistically, both physically and spiritually, and even so mentally. Yes.
All right. Sir Donna, you want
To
to chime
chime in
in?
on this? Yeah, man. So I want to endorse what he's saying. So 50% of the household, a little over 50% of the household in Jamaica is led by either a mother or a grandmother. That's extremely high. So it speaks to the lack of father figures or positive male role models in the home. Let me say father figures in the home. And as such, the father does four things: provide, protect, nurture, and finally, to support Sir Dad's point, is to model. So that modeling of healthy masculinity is absent. And so a lot of males don't have that right foundation while they go through boyhood to build and to become a man. But aside from that, naturally, there are some things that is needed to make you become a good man. So whether you like it or not, you're going to be a man at some point. So one of that is, of course, puberty, and of course, going through where the law would provide an age which is 18. But another part of it too is when the brain is matured, and the brain is matured between, let's say, at age 25, but females tend to mature a bit quicker, so between 25 and 30. So how you think at 18 is different when you think when you're at 25 or 26. Now, depending on the experiences you have had up to that point, and also the support you have, which are that speaks up, that helps also to define the type of man you are becoming. You understand? So again, it's important from a big picture standpoint. In every man, you you can be a priest, a good husband, a good son. However, every man need a man. Now, that's on our way. And sometimes when we speak about that in some space, the man like, why? The young youth them say, why? But every man need a man, and we not sexualize nothing. I'm afraid to say it. You understand? Every man need a man in order to be able to walk into that which is God ordained in terms of biblical manhood. We speak about mentorship, but let me say this quickly. A lot of people and brothers in the faith and otherwise tend to go to school or in community-based organization. I want to do mentorship programs. No, a lot of people need to understand that being a mentor doesn't mean create mini me's. And that's one of the problems that we're having. You understand? We're trying to paint a picture of how to become successful like I am. No. Mentorship means helping to be the mentee to become the best version of themselves. All right? Yes. So I just want to make that note.
Yes. Definitely agree with you right there. A lot of people, I don't know how much to stress on that. I think he's stressed on that quite far enough. A lot of people fail to discern well in the person that they're mentoring, and they try to replicate themselves in the person, but not trying to own in on whatever that gift or what is specifically geared to them to develop them in the right way and to push them in the right direction. So I do agree with you. Definitely, Mr. Donor.
So let's look at the question that we've put to our audience today. And I put it to you, both gentlemen. How has manhood been for you? Has it been a burden or has it been a blessing? And I'm guessing there's always middle ground there. So, Sir Dad.
I'm going to pass it on to Mr. Donor to start off this one. Come through.
Well, certainly a blessing, but it's a blessing that comes with burden. And I can't divorce that. I mean, being a husband, being a father, being in the space that I am in terms of working in a male space, it's a burden. And you're so wired in such a way. Being a father, especially means you're not just a father to your own child. And so when you see certain things, especially those things that you cannot control, it hurts you. You understand? I released a post the other day also that as a father, as a man, sometimes the thought flashes me to feel inadequate. When I see the talents in my kids, when I see, every month end come and the expenses, when I want to treat my wife a certain way, as a man to its core, that thought flashes me of inadequacy. But then I quickly have to catch myself and, remind myself of the scripture and, and get back on purpose, and even sometimes become vulnerable to some friends or older men, the community, older men, and say, this is how I feel. And they themselves will come and affirm and validate and stuff like that. So it definitely comes with its burdens, for sure.
I definitely agree with you, Mr. Donut. To be honest with you guys, for us as men, due to the fact that we inherently want to provide for those who are around us, we normally tend to tie our value to what we can provide. We normally do. And so if it is that we reach at a certain point within our lives where we know, say, all right, cool, I'm supposed to provide for my fiance or my wife or my kids, and I now look out for them in a certain manner, it'll make you feel kind of less of a person, because you know, say, inherently, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I'm supposed to do. And naturally we just have this territorial type of, I don't know how to describe it, this territorial type of imprint within us, that we want to protect and guard what is in our space. And so whenever we feel like we're not adding value, we feel a bit less of ourselves. And so it can be a burden, because we don't have the power to control everything within our external environment. And that's the thing that most men wants to have. It's power, control over your circumstances, over the bills. And just like how Mr. Donor said, there are certain things that you want to control over even over your health, and we don't. And so it's this lack of this inadequacy that we have, that keeps us in a state where we're mentally deprived as well. And so we just find that peacefulness that we can remind ourselves, right? Whether through community. For me, I have community. I have my boys that I speak to almost every other day, telling them, okay, this is what I've gone through the week. This is what I'm accountable for. These are the responsibilities that I have, and to remind myself. Sometimes you need somebody to remind you of who you are. Nevertheless, that you can't even provide, that value that you're expecting yourself to provide. And so, yeah, man, that's just the case for us.
Yeah, I want to quickly add to that. You see, the thing is, I said this, and I use Father's Day as a reference. I said to my kids, I called them in and I hugged them, and I said, and my wife was there. I said, as a man, as a father, gifting, if it come, all right, thanks, we're grateful. But it's a sense of feeling appreciated. That our efforts is worth it. And it's not just to come and say, Daddy, you did this and I'm grateful. It is the things that they do that says to me, that validates and affirms. So it's a sense of appreciation. I want to say that out there to the viewers, the mothers or the wives who are listening, the children who are listening. It's a sense of showing us that you appreciate us, not necessarily with gifts, but maximizing on that which we seek to provide, the protection, the provision, etc. The appreciation that helps to validate or to affirm, our manhood. So I just wanted to say that.
Yes.
All right. So we are right up on the break, and I want, we're going to do some follow up on some of these things, because as you may have seen me on YouTube or Facebook, I'm feverishly making notes as we go through. So I'm going to come back to some of these points after the break. But now we will be having our WTF feature, Word to Flesh Moments with Rev Mike. So stay tuned for that, and see you on the other side of this break.
Here in Jamaica, males are expected to be fighters, protectors, and providers. As males live up to the expectations of manhood, we are told that many struggle with self-esteem and rejection issues much more than they admit. Data tells us that men also suffer a much higher rate of violent victimization than females. Except in the areas of rape and sexual assault, men also die earlier than women and are injured more often. Is your manhood burdensome? Are you smiling on the outside while crying on the inside because of your man burden? 1 Corinthians 16 verse 13 declares, "Be like a man, be strong." 2 Timothy 1:7 also encourages, "For the Spirit God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline." Lean on God's supernatural help today to make a choice. Choose to be a man who is strong physically so that you can defend faith and family. Choose to be a man who is strong mentally so you can be sober and alert always. Choose to be a man who is strong emotionally so you can love self and others properly. Choose to be a man who is strong spiritually so you can love God completely. Then find another man and fulfill Proverbs 27:17, which says, iron sharpens iron, so one person sharpens another. One songwriter put it this way: you and I need each other to stay on the Lord's side. I'm Reverend Mike from Fellowship Tabernacle, and we just had a WTF moment.
When tape diapers are difficult to change, it's time for Pampers Easy Ups with 360 stretchy waistband. They're easy to put on and take off, keeping their skin dry and protected.
Changes are easy with Easy Ups.
As a man living with HIV, a regular day from me, not much different from yours. I have to wake up and go to people and work in the traffic, but then when we reach, we can run some joke with my co-worker them. Sometimes we link up after work, or play ball, or just dip on my ends and kick back before we go home. You see how much we have in common? People living with HIV are a part of our community. Make we par, protect, accept, and respect. A message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Need auto insurance? Advantage General puts you in the driver's seat. Apply online, purchase online, renew online, submit a claim online. Coverage in no time. Request a quote, purchase insurance, submit claims, even pay renewals with Advantage General online. From zero coverage to insured in 10 minutes. Advantage General, a member of Sagicor Group Jamaica. Conditions apply.
Every Thursday morning, Love 101 shares with you power-packed messages, words of encouragement, and testimonies of God's miraculous power. You get all of that in the Don't Give Up broadcast, brought to you by Celebration Church at the Portmore Skating Ring in the Portmore Mall with Pastor Prophet Michael Carter. Be sure to stay tuned to Love 101 for the Don't Give Up broadcast. Get the word you need to start your day right. The Don't Give Up broadcast, Thursdays at 5:15 a.m. on the family station, Love 101.
Protect what matters most. Do not drink and drive. It could cost you your license, your freedom, or your life. The time by Advantage General Insurance Company is.
It is now 3 minutes past the hour of 6, and you are still tuned to Family Life Ministries Family Time here on Love 101. We're talking to our guests, Daniel Dodd and Jason Downer, and the topic is Manhood Explored, Burden or Blessing. And before the break, I believe we were hearing that, manhood comes as a blessing, but with its burdens. And I was wondering to myself, does that mean if I don't feel burdened, I've not got into the whole idea of manhood? I guess we'll hear a bit more about that as we go. But I was looking at some of the words that came out just before we went to break. And I saw words like feel. And it's like men feel cool. And then we said men feel, and we added inadequate to it. And I'm like, that's kind of touching. Men feel inadequate? That's kind of getting sticky there. And then we saw the idea of we want to have control. And of course, we ended that all with saying, people, mommy, children, everybody out there, men want to be appreciated. Spread the love. The feeling and the gratitude really matters. I hope I captured that well, sirs, Dodd and Downer.
Yeah, man, you're doing good. You're doing good. Very good.
All right. So here we are now. As we look at the concept of men feeling, I guess this helps us segue into the mental health look that we want to make today. How do men feel? And I figure out this is a matter of the default. Is the default a matter of men generally feel strong, and I'm guessing it's personalized. Men generally feel strong, or is it that in the company of others and faced with different situations and realities, men just feel weak or inadequate, as the word that we'd have got to earlier? Is there a general default, for want of a better word, or it just goes and comes?
Mr. Donny, you want to take that one?
Boy, you throw me under the bus, wicked man. So again, just a reminder so the listeners understand. So mental health has to do with your emotional and psychological well-being, right? I think with men with testosterone naturally, that comes with the territory of uh, you know feeling strong. Masculinity speaks to the attributes that makes you a man. Testosterone, ego, all of those things. So I think naturally, it comes with the territory. If you look at, and of course we're not animals, but one of the best in science, we use a lot of animals to do studies, and mammals in particular. If you look, once there's a male involved, certain factors come into play. But so I believe that is there. But I believe how much that exists, or how much one controls it, is dependent on one's environment. So I believe socialization is of paramount importance as well. And so I believe when you earlier mentioned a man, a father, provide, protect, nurtures, and models. And I believe if more males are in a space or raised in a space, boys are raised in a space where, let me use the term, healthy masculinity is modeled, which speaks to emotional intelligence, which speaks to self regulation. I think that boy would have a greater uh, sense of self awareness. Certainly, they'll make blunders, but as they grow and develop, they will be able to manage that more. Leave it right there.
Definitely.
All right.
I don't believe any man um, is made to be without community, is made to be without relationship. I think the factor of us having to relate to another human being helps us with our masculinity, right? And as Mr. Donner says, we naturally are competitors. We naturally have that testosterone to push us to do the things that we do. But nevertheless, the emotional aspect should not be downplayed. It should not be downplayed. And I think that's one of the things that our society nowadays really pay less attention to, because we're growing up in a society where persons deem men as being tough, rough, very aggressive, as how Mr. Dono would have put it. But yet we put a blind side to the fact that, okay, we have an emotional aspect, right? We have an emotional aspect, and not attending to it, it causes us to, go into this default where we're forced to portray um, a strong side all the time. We're forced to suppress our feelings. We're forced to suppress our emotions. And so over the years, when that build up, right, and it comes to the point where it's required for us to express, most oftentimes we can't express it. And two, we express it in the wrong way, and that turns out into whether domestic violence and the other devices there is, especially within the home. And so it's a very tricky thing. This answer is you can't give a definite answer to this, but I believe, yes, I agree with the fact that we cannot do without relationship, and as it relates to our emotional side as men, it's often disregarded.
Looking at it, you were mentioning some things about how society probably goes, and I think you mentioned women. And just to follow up on that, what are some of the things that women have wrong about men? So let's imagine you hear women talking about men, 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 and you want to say, you kind of have that wrong. That's really not how it goes among men. What would one of those misconceptions be?
Well, man, no for cry. Man of a cry. I think that's the number one thing. The fact that we show so much of an aggressive side. We expect not to feel emotional, and so when we're young and we drop. And earth windy and so forth. The mother would have the thing. What you cry for? You know nothing for ball about. Is me say you get a slap and you move along with life. And so these little things develops into what we have today, and starts these little misconceptions. I'm trying to think of another one. I don't know, Mr. Donner, if you want to help me.
Um, I think, and I'm learning this more and more as a husband. That I think I don't think females understand how much men desire respect. Um, and I think if they do, for us, them loving us would be easier. No, I'm not going to go in the argument of who should do what first. I don't want to be stoned, but
We were
I
treating
think,
it lightly a while ago, slowly easing it in.
yeah. So I don't think we understand how much we should be respected. Another notion out there that I think, especially our mothers, need to understand when it comes on to our boys, especially single mothers. Your son is not the man of the house. Stop saying you are the man of the house because he's the only male there. No, he's not. He's a boy. Allow him to grow into manhood. And I think generally speaking, those are some of the narratives, that. And another one, a low-hanging fruit is there's still those who believe, I guess this is kind of deviating from it, that he can be both mother and father. Stop saying that to your children in this context. Stop saying that to your son. You can't father your son. You can't father your daughter. We spoke about who is a male or a man. You don't have testicles. You understand? That's one of the prerequisites. So as soon as our women begin to understand these things, men have emotions. Your son is not the man of the house. You're not the father for your child in the absence of his biological father. Stop saying those things, because sometimes out of anger and resentment, boys grow into it and say, my mother and my father, etc., etc. So those are just some of the low-hanging fruits right now. All right?
Mr. Donner, just a quick question. Would you agree, since you mentioned the word respect, would you agree that respect for us men is the number one love language?
Oh, yes. While I was speaking, I wanted to bring out the love language thing, but I say, it's not the program part. But yes, respect is, and one of the biggest respect for us as men.
Yeah.
Respect for time and our time.
Say it again.
Yeah, man. Let me stop now.
So all those who should have heard what Daniel wanted you to hear, let your ears help you out.
Yes.
A word to the wise.
Definitely.
All right. So heading to our final break. When we get back, we'll continue with Manhood Explored, Burden or Blessing. We'll
The report is out.
What report?
The Constitutional Reform Committee's report of recommendations.
Recommendations on what?
On how we move from a monarchy to a republic, of course.
So what's in it?
The creation of the office of president and changes to our parliament. Yes, man. It also includes a new qualification for membership in parliament. I know you want to see that one.
Read the full report at roadtorepublic.mlca.gov.jm.
We are on the road to republic.
When tape diapers are difficult to change, it's time for Pampers Easy Ups with 360 stretchy waistband. They're easy to put on and take off, keeping their skin dry and protected.
Changes are easy with Easy Ups.
Need to beat the heat this summer? Come to Ridge for your ceiling fans at prices as low as $15,000. Their sleek and stylish 52-inch fan blades are designed to fit and complement your interior decor. Call them now at 876-937-5099 or visit any of their locations in Kingston, Mandeville, Montego Bay, and their newest location, Draxall. Beat the heat this summer at Ridge with their Madison ceiling fans. Prices as low as $15,000. Open Sundays.
Receive words of strength from the Voice of Power with Bishop Dr. Delford Davis.
The battle of seed has been declared many years ago and is still raging. I will put enmity between thee and between the woman, thy seed and her seed. A war will be on perpetually until Jesus returns. But I know who has already won the war. I know who has already won the war.
That's the Voice of Power with Bishop Dr. Delford Davis, brought to you by the Power of Faith Ministries International in Portmore. Voice of Power comes to you every Thursday at 9:30 a.m. right here on the family station, Love 101.
Speak, my Lord. Speak, my Lord.
Good evening. Welcome back to Family Time here on Love 101. Those watching us on YouTube and Facebook, big up yourself as well. Just before we jump back into it, do you remember our gratitude challenge? How has it been going for you? Haven't started yet? Well, here's how it works. Write down 3 things in your phone you need a breakthrough for. Set an alarm for midday every day for 30 days. Well, we started on June 1, but I guess you can start yours and keep going with it. Then add a 4th item, which is the revival for Jamaica. So you have 3, and then you add another one, which is mandatory. Give thanks for those things when the alarm sounds. Then share your testimonies on FLM's social media pages. Remember those? Facebook, which is FLM-Family Life Ministries, and on Instagram, FLMJA. You can also go to counselorscouch.com. This is that's how we share those right there. So we looked at some of the misconceptions that women have of men or what it means to be a man. How, and I think we started touching on this, but how should they respond? For instance, one of the things we noted as I was going through in prep is that often the average man seldom goes to the doctor for checkups or goes less than women. They would be doing more abusive substances than women and so many other things. So how should women deal with some of these things which are vices? Do they just jump and say, yeah man, you must stop there and sitting there, long may I tell you, say you have to kill yourself? How do they manage those when they're trying to help the men in their lives get better? I see Sir Dad praying over there. So I think he got an answer. He's looking up again. Go ahead, Sir Dad.
Whoa, that's a tough one. I don't believe any man wants to be forced to do anything. I don't believe anybody wants to be forced to do anything, for starters. All right. Pressure is a real thing for us. And, well, for me, I can say we often go into this default mode. Whereby if we're feeling like as if we're backed up into a corner, we just put up this front. And I think most times for us it's a pride issue, it's an ego issue, for us thinking that okay, I can handle whatever this thing is on my own, and so I don't need the reliance on somebody else to help me. Right. So I believe it's a deeper factor from just us not really wanting to go to the doctor. But it's the fact on um just negating self-reliance, you know. I think that's the issue for us men, right? Because naturally we feel like as if we can carry everything on our shoulders, we can bear certain burdens, and so it oftentimes we don't feel the need to reach out for help, especially if we're hurt, right? I think that's a psychological issue, and it's deep, rather deep than just us saying that okay, we just not want God doctor. If it's just a habit, to say that we just don't want to attend to such needs.
Okay, so it's not that we're stubborn, and if you tell us enough times, we'll get there.
Mm. But it's a method of communication too, because at the same time, no, I don't want anyone.
Yeah. I was going to come in and say, and I'm going to use this language.
Mm.
Wives, know your man.
Ah, I'm
Right?
not a husband, but I can.
Yeah, know your man. And let me say this: pending wives, you're dating, you're courting. Know your future husband. Know how to. That use the right word. Communicate.
Yeah.
And also, if there's a moment of stubbornness, know who to get to him. So
Yeah.
for me, I'm in the male space, and one of the things for me, I have people that I'm accountable to. I have mentors, and so my wife knows who to reach out to, especially if
Mm-hmm.
she'd have to bring the issue to me first. She can say to one of them, I suspect Jason is going too hard and stuff. Can you have a conversation with him?
Mm.
And so I'm a strong believer in community. Today I met with one of my mentors. He just said, I need to meet with you. And when I got that message, I'm
We need
like,
to talk.
Lord, what me do now? Oh, Jesus. And when I went to his office and he said, how are you, etc., 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 etc. And then he started to affirm some stuff. It wasn't anything I did, and so that is also an angle. So when you find that your husband is not as receptive, whether he wants a stubbornness or some man stay, I'm not going to go into that.
Mm-hmm.
But know how to reach your spouse, know how to reach your partner, know how to reach that person you want to spend the rest of your life with. Because when you get married, I'm not so sure that's a time to just start to get to know. I'll just leave it right there.
Man, he mentioned. I don't know how vital that is, because even within the communication, it's so intricate. Timing is everything. Ladies, if the man come home from work and the man look tired and all bust down, same probably might have a little flu, or he might go through a little thing. No say, Jesus and peace, you can't go doctor. And them thing, like, you have to know when.
So again, know him. Again, know, and that includes the timing.
Definitely.
My wife, I'll give you an example. I am not a night person. By 8:39, my clock out.
Mm-mm.
So even if I'm awake, I'm not so coherent. So it's not the best time to have certain conversations with me.
Yeah.
But 5 a.m. in the morning, etc., etc. It doesn't mean that there aren't times at 9 p.m. I have to be up and I need to do what I need to do. But after almost 19 years of marriage, my wife knows that. She still get frustrated by it sometimes because she want to have conversation or she want at that time at like 9 p.m. because she's the opposite of me. However, she knows the best time, the creativity, the energy flows when I listen, etc., etc. But that doesn't come out. That didn't come overnight.
Yeah.
You understand? So know the males in your life. Mothers know your sons. They not have to be in an intimate type environment.
Yeah.
Know your sons. Sisters know your brothers.
Yeah.
Know who can reach him. It might be a football coach that he looks up to.
Agree.
So all those things, so just know the male. Take time to know him. All right?
Definitely.
All right, definitely. Know the man in your life. And to close, I guess both of you will have a minute each. So we looked at misconceptions that women have of men and how we want them to kind of change certain stuff in their approach. To close it, what can we say to men about misconceptions they have about themselves and how they can deal with that? I know it's a heavy question for a 1 minute, but we know that you are real men who can just really hit the nail on the head in that instant. So I'm putting you on the spot. What can we look at? Just one, and how we can kind of counteract that and say, you know what, you're better than that. I see more in you. Reach further as God leads you.
All right, so quick and fast. I would say for us men that don't think you can handle everything by yourself. Community is needed, right? There are certain parts of yourself where healing is needed. You need mentorship, you need community, you need accountability. And so there will be times within your life that you know that I cannot do this alone. I cannot do this alone. And so when you reach to that point where you feel like, okay, I am stressed out, I am burnt out, that's the best moment to say, I need help. To turn to a brother and say, I need help. Whoever within is within your circle, let them know how you're feeling. Let them know that I cannot do this alone. And that's one of the misconceptions for us men, that we feel like we need to carry the world on our shoulders and that we need to bear everybody's burden.
All right, Sir
Uh,
Donald.
yeah, I mean, Joshua said, as for me and my house, so from the standpoint of you being the head of your house and you have a family, you said it not because of a high level of machismo. I think he said it because through his submission to the Lord guided him. And I want to say to us men that allow the Lord to lead, be submitted to him. Leadership does not mean you earn the most money. It does not mean you have the answer to everything, right? It means also partnership and know when to, in some areas, allow the wife or your wife to take charge in some instances. It doesn't mean emasculating you. Also, as men generally, whether you're married or not, young or old, middle age like myself, it is quite okay to be vulnerable. It is okay to be vulnerable. And as such, be vulnerable. Find the right space. And not tell me there's nobody you can trust. There are people you can trust. At a time when I was going through an emotional roller coaster, I cried on the shoulder of a man. I cried on the shoulder of a man and he packed me like a child. I was an adult. He packed me in the back and I cried on his shoulder. It is quite okay. And I end by saying, every man need a man. Blessed.
All
Definitely.
right. Every man need a man. So men, go find a man. Find a man who can mend. Find a man who can mentor you and
Same
really be
so.
there to be accountable. Man, that's my dead over this.
We don't say a truth you're talking about, boy.
To be accountable and
Definitely.
help you through the different stuff that we're looking at. If any question came up that you probably think you need to dig a little deeper with, we hope that you can find that person who you can help you. If you don't have anybody, can I recommend Family Life Ministries? Their counselors are there, male counselors. They can help you out. So before I head into the Family Life promo, thank you very much to Jason and Daniel. Thank you very much for coming. It was definitely a pleasure. And I believe that we helped someone today.
Definitely. Good to be here.
Thank you, thank you. Big up to JTS, of course, Daniel. Love
Definitely.
101. Love every time. Big up.
All right. So for more information on our services or for our counselors in Kingston and other parts of the island, contact our, meaning Family Life Ministries, head office at 876-920-1034 or 876-926-8101. Note that for appointments and information on costs, you must call the offices. Otherwise, keep up to date with what's happening with FLM and our programs. Check us out on our new Facebook page, FLM-Family Life Ministries. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Family Life Ministries-FLMJA, and on Instagram, FLMJA. Before you leave, here is this evening's Bible verse. And it comes to us from 2 Corinthians 4, and it's verse 16 that we're going to read. Therefore, we do not lose heart. Though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. Join us again next week for another informative program. Thanks again to our special guests, Jason Downer and Daniel Dodd. Thanks also to our show producer, Kathy Gale, our studio facilitator, Timoy Butler, and of course, to all of you viewers and listeners. I'm Sir Twain. Stay blessed and see you next time.